It's almost 5 o'clock. We're gonna make some soup in the Instant Pot. So I'm gonna give people a couple seconds to join in here and just chat with you a little bit about what I've been doing for Veganuary. So if you haven't been following along, I have been offering some cooking demos. I've got a Facebook group called Veganuary with the Vegan Potter. You can search for it and request to join, and I'll be doing more cooking demos throughout the month. We're posting and having discussions about recipes and cooking with families, hi mom, and all kinds of stuff on that forum. So make sure you join the forum. It's really fun. There's about 50 of us in it, although not everyone is chatting yet. But we're talking about recipes, we're talking about what to try, we're talking about good brands, we're talking about restaurants and places to go just to support a little bit more plants on your plate in 2020. Hi! So I am going to be making some soup today in my Instant Pot. I've been laughing. A couple of people have said, oh, I got an Instant Pot for Christmas a couple years ago and I'm too afraid to use it, or I haven't taken it out of the package. And I laughed to myself thinking, it's like my favorite appliance in my whole kitchen, my Instant Pot. And I only got mine about a year ago and I felt like I was behind the times buying it that long after the fact. But I love it. It's one of my 3 favorite major appliances in my kitchen, besides my Vitamix is another favorite, and my air fryer. So those are my 3 favorite appliances that I use absolutely on a weekly basis, sometimes more than once a day. The Vitamix definitely more than once a day. So hi Peggy. So I'm giving people a couple minutes to join in. If you haven't been following along, join in on the Facebook group, Veganuary with the Vegan Potter. You can follow me at the Vegan Potter. Obviously, you're watching from that page. Don't follow my public page or my personal page because I'm not going to be doing the live videos from there. Although some of the posts I do post are public to my personal page. And then I'm also posting to my YouTube channel and and I'm also posting up on Instagram TV, so hopefully I'll be able to figure out how to save this video and post it for the Instagram folks as well. So let's get started. Soup in the Instant Pot. I'm going to show you some ingredients that I have picked out. This is what I got going on tonight, and I've already done some of the chopping, so you guys don't have to watch me chop because that's a little bit tedious. I didn't really go into this with a plan. I just knew that I wanted to throw some veggies and things in. I threw out on the forum a couple days ago, what do you guys want to see in the soup? And somebody mentioned lentils, and I happen to have some black lentils here, so I'm going to throw some of those in. I'm going to throw some barley in, some fresh spinach, some diced canned tomatoes, some chopped up carrots, some onions, and some leeks that I just bought at Foodworks today. We went down to Old Saybrook. Some minced up garlic, and then I'll be doing the veggie stock with Better Than Bouillon, my favorite bouillon. Yes, it's high in sodium, but you're just making vegetable broth from it. You don't have to use a lot. And then the Spice Beast Viva Pizzaria, which is a blend of black pepper, basil, marjoram, oregano, onion, thyme, and parsley. So it's easy if you have those ingredients. I mean, soup is like the easiest thing to throw together, I think, personally. I am going to flip the camera one more time. And then I think I've figured out a way to put you guys up here. Haha, so you can see what's going on. And I'll move that Instant Pot a little closer as well. All right, so I've got all my ingredients laid out and already chopped, and it's really simple. So if you have an Instant Pot, don't be afraid of it. If you don't have an Instant Pot, you can still totally make this recipe just on the stovetop, and it's not going to take much longer. Actually, you'll just be covering it and letting it simmer down to cook the barley and the lentils. So here's the premise, right? The lid comes off. Most Instant Pots, I believe, have this guy here, which is the pressure gauge, and you want to make sure that it's not tilting towards where it says venting. You want to make sure it says sealing if you're going to be cooking under pressure. Venting means you're letting all the air out of the pot while you're cooking. Sealing means you're containing that pressure, which is actually what's helping cook the food faster. I had an old-fashioned pressure cooker that I used to use on my stove all the time, and that worked well as well, but that was a little bit more scary because it was on the stovetop and you really had to pay attention to it. This you can set and walk away from. Don't walk away out of the house entirely like a slow cooker, but it's pretty simple. So I'm going to plug this guy in. will beep when you plug it in, if it's like mine. And mine is just the actual Instant Pot brand. So I have a little screen like this that shows me all the options that I have. I even have a soup and broth option, a meat and stew, cake, egg, saute, rice, multigrain, porridge, steam, and slow cook. And then I've got an adjustment and a manual setting so I can be in total control over how long I'm cooking under pressure, and a cancellation button and a delayed start so you can actually you know, go take a walk and have the soup starting to cook when you come home or something like that. But for now, I'm going to start off using the saute button, and that's part of what I love about making soup in the Instant Pot, is that also this is removable. So you can store your soup in here, or you can just remove it for easy cleaning. All right, and this is stainless steel. So for now, I'm just going to set it for saute, and it automatically sets it for 30 on a 30-minute saute cycle. So it will only heat the pan up enough on the inside to saute, and there you go. Now it's telling me it's turning on. There's always 3 beeps. Mine also came with this really handy instruction sheet, which I realize not everyone's does, because my mom said she did not get one of these, and she has, I believe, an older model. So this is cooking time tables for just about every vegetable, grain, and protein, except it doesn't have vegan proteins on here, so we'll ignore that part. But I'm going to be looking at the barley, or I looked at the barley and I looked at the lentils. It doesn't have every lentil, but it does have green lentils and yellow lentils. And these French lentils are a little bit harder. They're a little closer to a barley, so they're going to need longer to cook anyway. The barley says it cooks between 20 and 22 minutes under pressure. And I'm ignoring how much water I need because it's just going to cook in the soup anyway. So I'm not too worried about that. And I'm going to just put a half a cup of barley and a half a cup of the lentils in. That'll be more than enough because they both bulk up as they cook. So this is a really handy, I'm sure you can download this, instapot.com, Instapot Cooking Time. So I'm sure you can download a copy of this. It's really, really handy to look at, and I make notes to tell me what's worked and what hasn't. But I cook all my dried beans in here. I use this as my rice cooker. This replaced my rice cooker, so it's really great for a lot of reasons. So I'm gonna grab a little bit of olive oil and throw that in since my Instant Pot is heating up here. Just a couple tablespoons. This is typically how I start out most of my recipes. A couple tablespoons of some kind of oil. Classically olive oil. Sometimes if it's something baked, it's coconut oil. And then I'm gonna throw in my onions. Get something to stir with. My Instant Pot came with plastic utensils to use for, but I'm not really a plastic person, so I really don't use these except sometimes to scoop out rice and just scrape the bottom. But otherwise I tend to like to use wooden utensils, and you can buy these, or if you have a handy father like I do, then he makes them for you. So I'm throwing in the onions and the leeks, and you can hear that that is sizzling already. And I'm going to give that a stir just to coat them around. And this is the first time I've cooked with leeks, if you can believe that. I know that sounds totally ridiculous coming from a vegan. They're in the onion family, and we're obsessed with onions in our household. And we happened to go to Old Saybrook today, and we went to Shayna B's by the Sea, which is a fabulous vegan and gluten-free restaurant. If you've never been there before, it's right in downtown Old Saybrook, which is really cute. And Christine Reed owns it. She's wonderful. She used to call herself Shayna B's and the Pickle. You might have seen her at the Coventry Farmers Market or the Basel Farmers Market years ago. And now she has a cafe, and it's absolutely fabulous. And if you get onto my personal page, you can see pictures from that trip today and what we ate. So I'm going to let this cook for just a minute or two until the onions show a little bit of translucent color. And in the meantime, because it's good to add your seasonings while you're sort of steaming things or beginning to get some of that color on things, it really helps the herbs blossom and bloom and promote more flavor. So I'm going to add, and I normally would never measure things, but I'm going to measure for you guys today, for those of you who are really sticklers about how much do I put, and I don't know how to cook without a recipe, so we'll measure just for you. So I'm going to do a teaspoon of this herb blend, this Viva Pizzaria. And this is the Spice Beast. We sell some of these spices at Glaze Handmade. I've been working with this spice guy. His name's Bill. He is the Spice Beast, and you can purchase these at thespicebeast.com. If you use code VEGANBEAST at checkout, you're gonna get a discount because we're good like that. So I'm gonna stir around some of my herbs, and you can already smell, it smells delicious already, because what's not delicious about the smell of onions cooking? Onions and leeks are in there for those of you who just joined. Hi, Elizabeth. And I am gonna grab myself a few other spices. Let's see. I think a little bit of paprika. This is a brand new thing of paprika. I like paprika for color, and I am gonna add tomatoes to this, but it also helps bring out the flavor in tomatoes, I feel like. I could be making that up. And just for measuring sake, I'm going to do a 1/4 teaspoon of paprika. Normally I would just shake things into the pot. I'm only measuring for you guys. And I mix it around, and if I can smell it, great. If it looks like there's enough in there, I won't add more, but I'm going to add a little bit more. Another 1/4 teaspoon. Good. So now that the onions and the leeks are starting to cook down, I'm going to go ahead and add my garlic. This is 2 cloves of minced garlic. I like to add the garlic after things have started cooking so that it doesn't burn and it has a chance to absorb some of the moisture from the other things in the pan. Good. I'm going to add a little bit of pepper. Just a few grinds of black pepper, 4 or 5 times around. And then I'm going to pop in my carrots. This is probably a cup of carrots, just chopped. I chopped the carrots the long way and then sliced them in half. Good, we're looking good. I'm going to go ahead and open my can of diced tomatoes. So I don't know, I like vegetable soups that have some different textures in them. And tomatoes help out with that. They also help out with flavor and acid. My mom is saying, you need a new can opener. I know I do. I do need a new can opener. And these are diced. Let me see, is there anything else in these tomatoes? Organic tomato juice, sea salt, citric acid, and calcium chloride. I'm sure those things are preservatives for color and whatnot. So I'm going to go ahead and add my tomatoes. I'm throwing the whole can in there. Not even worried. That's going to help my sauté settle down a little bit too, but that's okay. I want to get those flavors sort of started blending together in that before we get too much liquid in there and we close it up to let it cook under pressure. So next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to fill this up with, I'm probably going to do about 4 to 5 cups of liquid, and then we'll add some of the veggie bouillon. But what I like to do first is I'm actually going to boil a little bit of water so that I can condense down. This is a paste, and so it doesn't really dissolve well unless the water is super hot. So I want to make sure, and this is called Better Than Bouillon. It's seasoned vegetable base. They make this in different flavors. There's even a no chicken base, which is actually really good for more of that chickeny flavor that you're looking for without the chicken. So if you just tuned in, we've got onions, leeks, carrots, a can of diced tomatoes, and a bunch of different spices in here. I'm gonna add probably add the vegetable bouillon first before I add any additional salt, because the bouillon tends to be very salty on its own. So I'm boiling some water right now, or just heating up some water so I can melt down that bouillon. So these are black lentils. So you can see what these guys look like. They're kind of cool looking. Right, so they have a little speckles on them. They're very tiny and they're very hard. They take a little bit longer to cook than the red lentils or the brown lentils, but they have a nice texture in a soup especially. So I'm gonna do a half a cup of lentils. All right, this is the shocking part. If you don't have an Instant Pot and you're not used to watching dried goods just go right in a pot, and wondering how the heck that's gonna cook, this is how it's gonna happen. And then this is pearl barley. If you're unfamiliar with pearl barley, there's what that looks like. And this is really tough stuff too. This cooks up quite a bit, it blows up quite a bit, and it can be very starchy if you add too much, so a half a cup is plenty. I don't want the soup to be just thick and starchy. I want it to be have some broth to it. So I'm gonna stir all these guys in. That'll begin to help the barley and lentils to hydrate a bit. And the soup's gonna have really nice color. It's got the green from the leeks and the orange and the red. I personally like to try to make the rainbow happen in the things that I cook. With regards to, you know, eat the rainbow is a really good premise whenever you're making something from scratch. It's good to think about, do I have a green? Do I have a red? Do I have an orange? Do I have a yellow? You know, do I have a starch? Do I have a protein? There's protein in the lentils. This soup would be easily adapted if you wanted to throw crumbled tempeh into it, or even soy nuggets. So if you guys are unfamiliar with what soy nuggets are, I'll show you. And these are very interesting. When I was first vegan 25 years ago, they had something that was called TVP, which was textured vegetable protein, and that's all this is. It's a soy protein. So I'll read you the ingredients: soy flour and trace corn. That's it. So it's basically soy. There is 140 calories in a serving. There's 25 grams of protein. There's 9 servings in this container, and that's quite a bit. So what these look like are these dried nuggets, right? I know everyone's thinking, oh my god, I don't want to be vegan and eat that stuff. These taste like nothing. You don't eat them in this dried form. They need to be rehydrated, but you can buy them in the nugget form like this. You can buy them in even bigger nuggets. You can buy them in strips. You can buy them in fine particle that you can throw into soups, and then they act like a ground meat. It has a very similar texture to chicken. It's making my newly vegan husband very happy, especially when we go to our favorite Thai place in Westerly called Tong Thai, and they offer soy nuggets on their menu, and they are delicious. So I promise you it's nothing to be afraid of, but it's another protein alternative that's really easy to work with in different recipes. So this is still simmering away. And I'm going to check my water. I think my water is hot enough to melt some of my bouillon in. So I'm going to put this in a 2-cup measure. I'll probably be adding more than just 2 cups of water, but we're going to start off with that so I can get the bouillon melted. And I'll do about a half a teaspoon to start. I usually just taste this to make sure that it actually tastes like vegetable broth before I throw it into whatever I'm cooking. And you'll see it turns a nice brothy color. I'm gonna add just a bit more because I know I'm gonna be adding more liquid. So I want this batch that I make to be too rich and too salty. So when I add more liquid to it, it will be the right amount. Give that a taste. Not quite there yet. So probably all in all, I'm guessing a tablespoon of liquid to 2 cups of water, and then I'm likely gonna add at least 2 more cups of water. But this melts down really nice. That should be good. I'm gonna add this broth. Give that a good stir. Another couple cups of water. So 6 cups of water altogether. And the reason that might seem like a lot, but I realized that I need to cook those lentils and I need to cook that barley, and they're gonna absorb quite a bit of moisture out of the soup, and I don't want the soup to be too thick. So it's fine that it looks really watery at this stage. I am gonna taste it before I close the lid. And I'm gonna throw in some fresh spinach too, because there's not enough green in here for me. We're gonna do some fresh spinach. And the fresh spinach is something that you can add before, at this stage, before you close the lid, or you can certainly just add it at the end. The great thing about cooking under pressure is you're not losing the nutrients from your food because you're not boiling all the nutrients away. So I am gonna give these just a rough chop. So I'm probably doing like, I don't know, 3 cups maybe of spinach. You know, spinach cooks down to nothing, so that should be good. And I don't care that the stems are in there. I'm really not bothered by whole leaves of spinach in soup. They just cook down and become very soft and very buttery, I think, in a soup broth. So not too worried about getting them too small or evenly chopped at all, or removing the stems. Like I said, I like everything to be really easy. So I'm gonna throw this in. Give it another stir. And then when I looked at the instructions about how to cook barley in the Instant Pot, it said 20 to 22 minutes, and the barley is the thing that's going to take the longest to cook. So with that in mind, I'm going to set the timer to cook for, I'm going to say 20 minutes. Here's the thing about the Instant Pot. You can absolutely let it cook to pressure to the time you've set. Open it up, taste it, make sure everything's cooked to your liking, and if it's not, you just close the darn lid and you reset it. You can set it for another 2 or 3 minutes or 5 minutes so that whatever you're cooking gets to your taste preference or your preference in terms of like how stiff the vegetables are or how cooked things are. So if I cook it for 20 minutes and I taste it and I realize the barley needs a little bit longer, I'm just gonna put the lid back on and keep going. So there's no love lost. You don't have to get it perfect the first time with the timing of things. So I'm gonna taste this first before I close the lid. It's not gonna be fully flavored, but I wanna make sure that there's enough salt. And that tastes pretty good. It's quite acidic because of the tomatoes, but once those cook into the flavors of everything else, and I think I'm gonna add a little bit more of the spice blend as well. A couple more shakes. And just a tad of salt. About a 1/4 teaspoon. right? Salt gives things flavors. Salt enhances the flavor of things. If something doesn't taste good, it's usually because it needs salt. And we are conscious of our salt intake, but we're not going to eat all the soup at once either. This is at least probably 4 or 5 servings for us. And we also like to add things into our soup. So once this is cooked, we'll likely add fresh chopped cabbage or a fresh chopped avocado, or something like that to it, because we like some fresh with our hot cooked soup. So, hey Peggy, you just purchased your Instant Pot, but it's still in the box. Yeah, get it out of the box. You can cook so much in the Instant Pot. So soup is just one thing I do in here. I also cook all of my rice. So if you have a rice cooker, ditch the rice cooker. You don't need it anymore. You can cook your brown rice, your white rice, your forbidden rice, any kind of rice you want in here. According to the cooking times, it cooks rice beautifully, and it also cooks dried beans. So I don't buy any more canned beans anymore. I buy everything dry. I throw it in the Instant Pot, and it cooks beans like beans you've never tasted, real beans, if you've only eaten canned beans for your whole life. So get it out of the box. That's my best advice to you. Yeah, you tuned in late, no problem. So we added chopped leeks, we added onions, we added a couple of cloves of garlic, a can of diced tomatoes, a cup of chopped carrots, organic carrots, and then about 3 cups of chopped spinach, a half a cup of barley, and a half a cup of black lentils. So I will absolutely write all this down so you don't have to go back and watch this over and over again and write it down yourself. I made this up as we went. We'll see how it tastes. If it tastes awful, I'll let you know that too. But we're definitely gonna be posting the recipe up on here. As soon as I finish with this live feed, I'll go ahead and write down the recipe for you guys and I'll post it. So you do not have to worry. So we've got all those ingredients in there, along with some seasonings like paprika, salt, pepper, and the Spice Beast Viva Pizzaria, which is just a blend of basil, black pepper, marjoram, oregano, onion, thyme, and parsley, all readily available. I would say a 1/4 teaspoon each of all those things, and you'll be good to go. And then I added 6 cups of water, vegetable broth that we made from the Better Than Bouillon seasoned vegetable base. Yep, so that's answered that question for you. So I'm gonna go ahead and put the lid on this. And it makes that funny little noise. I wanna make sure that this is tuned into where it says sealing. And then I'm going to cancel my Sauté first, because that's what it was set for. I'm gonna click the manual button. And it's set already for 15 minutes, but I can use the plus sign to bump that up to 20. I'm gonna start with a 20-minute high pressure cook, and we're gonna see where this goes. I'm obviously not gonna stay live for this whole time. What happens, if you're curious, your Instant Pot first beeps to tell you it understands what you're asking it to do. And then it takes usually anywhere between 10 and 15 minutes for it to get up to pressure. And while that's happening, you'll hear some steam escaping from the top of the lid. Don't be alarmed. That's all normal. And once it's up to pressure, it's pretty much silent. It doesn't make any noise unless you put your ear up to it and you might hear it boiling. But other than that, nothing really happens until it's finished, and then it beeps when it's done. And you have options for choosing whether you're going to do a quick release. A quick release is where you just push that button over to either side where it says venting, and you got to keep your hand away from the top because this is where the steam comes out, and this is super dangerous and super hot. So that's the only dangerous part of it if you're doing this with kids, is I wouldn't let your kids do that part of it. You want to quickly push it to one side, stand back, the steam's going to come out. That takes anywhere from 1 minute to 2 minutes. Once you hear no more steam or see no more steam coming out of that seal, then you can go ahead and open your pot and everything is safe. So it's not a scary appliance. Use your Instant Pot. Get it out of the box. It's such a shame that people have them sitting in the box. If I had more than one, I'd be using more than one at a time, because I'd be cooking rice in one and beans in another and soup in another. So you can do a lot with your Instant Pot. I am gonna tilt so you guys can see me. Hopefully that was a helpful demonstration. Like I said, I will write down all the ingredients and I'll post them up on the Vegan Potter Facebook page. But if you haven't already followed our Veganuary with the Vegan Potter Facebook group, go ahead and request to join the group. It's just 3 simple questions to answer. Thanks. And we are sharing lots of recipe ideas and photos of what we're making and just talking back and forth. There's no judgment in the group. It's very friendly. It's not a harsh vegan group, so you don't have to worry. I'm just here to help people eat more plants in 2020 in hopes of making yummy, delicious recipes that can help support their family and themselves towards a healthier lifestyle for you, animals, and the planet all at once. So tune in to Veganuary and check out the Facebook group. Follow me on Instagram. I've got a YouTube channel. I'll be posting this video as soon as I figure out how to save it. I'm always worried about that. We'll figure out how to save it and we'll post it up on all those other social media pages. So, and if you're looking for more yummy recipes, check me out at theveganpotter.com. You can find my recipe page right in the top menu bar, and there's a ton of recipes. There's a search bar, so if you're searching just for snacks or just for dinner, or you're searching for tempeh or tofu recipes, just type in what you're searching for and they'll all pop up. So I'm gonna show you one more time. This is what the Instant Pot's looking like. It just says on right now, so it's not going to start counting down that 20-minute timer until it gets up to pressure. So if you have an Instant Pot in the box at home, get it out. I'm making soup in here, and I will do probably a little video of what this soup looks like, or at least a photo of the soup when I take it out in about 20 minutes, and I'll post that to the page as well. So I hope you guys have a great night. Thanks for watching.